Hello, you guys, and welcome back to Mystical Visions. So, while I'm recording this, it is November 5th, but in just 5 days, we are stepping into another Mercury retrograde, and I do believe it will be the final one for the year. Hopefully, I don't remember how frequently they happen, but Mercury retrogrades are interesting because a lot of the times they involve issues with communication, technology, thinking. People get brain fog a lot. So I thought it would be interesting to take a look at what energies are surrounding you during this Mercury retrograde season, what you're learning through this, and also potentially some predictions for what's coming for you after the retrograde is through. So there will be a little bit of fireworks in the background. Hopefully they're not too distracting. So I've got lots and lots of cards for you today. I've gone ahead and pre-shuffled them as always. For pile one, we have this garnet. Pile number two, we have a citrine crystal. And for pile number three, we have a carnelian. So, like I said, we have lots and lots of cards. We're going to do an energy check-in. We're going to look into the details. It's a lot. So, as always, timestamps are in the video description. If this video resonates with you and it brings you some clarity, please remember to like and subscribe to my channel. Comment below how this resonates, and you can always support my work by checking out my PayPal tip jar. Link is in the video description. And without much further ado, I'll see you at your reading. Pile number one, hello. So if you guys chose the garnet crystal, then this is your reading already. There is so much noise going on around me right now. It's a little frustrating, but bear with me, you guys. So I've gone ahead and shuffled your cards, and as you can tell, I did get a new deck. It is the Every Little Thing You Do Is Magic tarot deck. This is the guidebook. And so far, I'm kind of in love with it. But anyway, let's dive into your reading. We're taking a look at Mercury retrograde. And we're going to start with these cards here and take a look at what energy you are currently in. This can be a great way for you to confirm that you've picked the right pile. Then with these cards here, we'll take a look at what you're learning through this retrograde season. We'll finally take a look at the aftermath of the retrograde, and then we have 6 separate oracle cards to give you some advice, because I know retrogrades can be a time of confusion, so we need all the advice we can get, all right? So let's dive right in. What energy are you in? You guys actually got an extra clarifier for this, so let's take a look. We have the Two of Wands in reverse. And that is clarified by the Six of Swords and the Knight of Pentacles. Okay, what's interesting is when I first shuffled from this deck, which is the Yoshitani Tarot of the Divine, that's the one, deck. I actually had the Knight of Pentacles fall out before I started shuffling, so I put it back in just in case, and then it's come out again. Where you are when you first step into this retrograde energy, pile one, is in a place of taking things slow, of being quite cautious, of being very, very present, almost hyper vigilant. So that may be the energy you're experiencing right now as you watch this, where you may have come from a very chaotic time and things are starting to either slow down, or you're kind of forcing yourself to slow down and to kind of smell the roses a little bit. Because with this Two of Wands in reverse, it's like you're neither in the past nor the future. You're like smack dab in the middle, in the present. You're not necessarily looking forward to anything big, but it's not like you feel lost. It's like you may feel a little bit stuck, but that's mostly because you can't really see with very much clarity what's coming next for you. But it doesn't feel like you're necessarily trapped or anything like that. Because with the Six of Swords, this is about moving into calmer waters. So this is the energy of having come from somewhere chaotic and finally being like, okay, I may be in limbo right now, but this is better than the craziness. And with the Knight of Pentacles, this is again that cautious energy of not wanting to make a move unless you've mastered your physical reality as it currently lies. Okay. And for the archetype, I'm not really reading reversals for this. We have the Mother, which is the first card in the deck. Beautiful. Gonna leave that there. Quickly gonna skim through what it says. The Mother, the Great Mother, the feminine, the source. The mother wraps her loving arms around her creations and begins to grip what she meant to set free. The mother both nurtures and prohibits growth. She gives yet clings. She creates yet restricts. The mother holds the key to the eternal challenge of love. So, yeah, it feels like you may be at the beginning of a creative cycle where you're sort of ideating, or you may be at the point where you've done enough thinking, it's time to set it free, but you're still in a moment of, I don't really know if I want everyone to see this yet. And so perhaps that's the hesitation that you're facing with this Knight of Pentacles here, because the Knight of Pentacles to me always says, I want to go forward, but I don't want to make a move unless I know for sure how this is going to pan out. Like, that's the energy I always get from the Knight of Pentacles. So you could very well be halting, you know? You could be getting in your own way in many ways, but also you maybe just don't feel ready yet. And that's okay. Like, you don't have to rush anything, but you can sometimes hold on too tightly for too long until you just lose the motivation to do the thing that you were planning to do. So you're currently in like a stalling energy is what I'm trying to say. So if that resonates, let's dive into what the retrograde is teaching you. I'm just going to move these a little bit so we have space for these cards, because these are some big boy cards. We have the Hermit in reverse, and that's clarified by Temperance. Okay. The Hermit in reverse. Yeah, it definitely feels like you're... Okay, part one, were you in a space of lots and lots of introspection until very recently? Because it feels like with this Hermit in reverse, it's like you're finally stepping back out into the world. It's like you spent a lot of time by yourself, and now you're... I keep feeling the need to like readjust. You may be someone who's prone to reconfiguring your space quite a lot. I know my mom does this a lot, so mom, if you're watching, shout out the mother. But it's a thing that helps her process a lot better, and perhaps you're one of these people as well. See, I keep wanting to move stuff around. You might find yourself obsessing over the details of your physical space right now, or through the retrograde, but that's clarified by Temperance, which is about balance but in a dynamic way. So perhaps the lesson here is that yes, you make all the physical changes that you need, as long as it is also balanced out by changes in your mind, changes in your personality, changes in your inner world. It's all well and good to change your outer world, but unless that transformation is echoed inside of your soul, it's going to be a hollow change. I feel like with Temperance, it's the energy of there is too much water for one cup to hold, but it's too little for two cups to have. So in keeping the water flowing from one cup to the other, you're sort of achieving balance while it's always moving. That's the kind of vibe I get from the Temperance card. And so perhaps you have a lot on your plate right now, but it's not so much that you can justify dropping any of your responsibilities. And so you're working through this retrograde to find balance. And perhaps one of the things you will learn is how to find that balance without kind of putting yourself into a box. So if you're someone who doesn't do very well with schedules, with timetables, things like that, you might very well find that there is a way to create a flexible schedule, one that moves with you. And maybe something like that might catch your eye during the retrograde. So that way you're kind of making sure that you're doing everything you need to do, but without it being super rigid. Because the Hermit, funnily enough, is Virgo energy, and Virgo can be quite perfectionistic. It can be quite detail-oriented to a fault. So to have that in reverse clarified by Temperance, which is Sagittarius energy, arguably the polar opposite, this is you stepping into an energy of not just looking at movement and calling it chaos, but finding ways to dance with it, to dance with the world around you, rather than trying to make it fit a certain mold. And that is a huge thing that's changing for you through this retrograde season. Next, we have the Champion of Pentacles, which is the Knight of Pentacles in reverse. Okay, heavy earth energy. And that's clarified by the Fool. Yeah, okay. These are the same card, except this one's in reverse. And it's clarified by the Fool, which is the card of new beginning. So another thing you're really, really transforming through this retrograde is this fear of making a move. This need to 100% know exactly how every single thing is going to pan out before you take a step. It's like your insecurity is transforming into faith. Because this is that Aquarius energy of, I don't know what's going to come ahead, like what's going to come next, but I know that whatever happens, I will land on my feet. It's this retrograde season for you, Pile 1, is quite transformative in that it feels like your entire sense of self is transforming. And I think a lot of it has to do with an increased self-worth. Because when you have good self-worth, you know that no matter what challenge comes your way, you'll be fine. Because you, and 1111, as I said that, you will be fine. And whatever happens, whatever wants to come your way, you know that you can deal with it and you will enjoy the process of dealing with it. So it feels like you're really, really transforming that insecurity of not knowing what's going to happen, not knowing whether you want to invest your time, money, energy in something without knowing exactly how it's going to pan out. It's that uncertainty is leaving you. And I think a lot of that also comes from this transformation of not needing everything to play out a certain way constantly anymore. It's like you're letting go of that perfectionistic tendency, and as a result, it's bringing you an open mind. It's bringing you the ability to enjoy the imperfections that come your way, to enjoy life for what it is, and to not want to change or shift it or make it fit a certain shape just because it's not quite what you expect it to be. Beautiful. Okay, I've just had a look in the viewfinder and these are all the way slanted. See, I feel like your energy is rubbing off on me now, Pile 1. But let's continue. What else are you learning? We have the 10 of Pentacles in reverse. Okay, don't panic. That's clarified. Okay, that makes sense. By the King of Wands in reverse. Another thing that is changing for you, a new thing that you're learning, is a new definition of what fulfillment means to you. Whereas in the past, you may have had a very specific idea of what success would mean for you, what it would mean to have a fulfilled life, to have, a 10 out of 10 end goal. You're finding now with this King of Wands in reverse that doesn't really light your fire anymore. That may have been either a goal you adopted from someone else, or perhaps it's something you just kind of developed by looking at the standards of society around you, the expectations that people have from you, things that make you insecure, things that make you feel secure. It feels like as you transform this sense of insecurity, your idea of happiness is changing, like at the very core. And you're starting to realize that things maybe that made you very happy before, things that lit your fire before, are no longer doing that. And that's okay. Most importantly, like in the past, you may have come to this realization already, but then you've maybe not allowed yourself to go deeper into that train of thought, to explore that idea that maybe you're not looking for what you think you're looking for. You may have stopped yourself exploring that idea, and now when your mind is a little more open, you're like, hang on a minute, here's a thought. What if I don't want this super cliche, white picket fence, 2.5 kids, garden in the back idea? What if I'm happy to have like a on-the-go life? Or what if I want maybe a smaller place and a larger office? Things like that. Things that are a little bit off the beaten path. It doesn't necessarily have to apply to your home and your space. But, given all of this energy, you might find that you're decorating your space in ways that you really didn't see coming. It's like you're maybe changing up your aesthetic a lot. You're looking at how you express yourself, because there's a lot of Pentacles energy here and a lot of Earth energy that's in reverse. And that tells me that your physical world around you no longer suits you. It no longer suits who you are. It may have been exactly what your past self wanted. And now, as you allow yourself to grow and evolve and transform, you're like, actually, none of this is growing and evolving with me. I might have to change it up. Because that's that King of Wands energy, is someone who knows that their passions, that their desires are sacred, are divine, are not just a fluke, like they're not just fanciful for wanting something. It is a desire that comes from the very depth of their soul, and it wouldn't exist unless the universe had a purpose for it. And so you're starting to see your desires, your wants, your likes, the things that you enjoy, your visual aesthetic, things that appeal to you. You're starting to see all of those things as sacred, where in the past you may have seen them as superficial. And that's perfectly normal. We take a long time to find a balance between our physical self and our spiritual, mental, emotional self. And I feel like that, honestly, to me, that's a journey that will just keep going. You're going to swing from one side to the other constantly. Like there's no, it's quite like this Temperance card. There is no static balance. But you're stepping into a place now of recognizing that your human aspect is not vain, is not, I keep wanting to say cheap, although that's not the word. It's not, what's the word? It starts with an F. Not, it'll come to me. But anyway, it's not pointless. There is, well, I'm running out of words because I'm stuck on that one word. Oh my goodness. It will come back to me. It will just leave it. Okay. Sorry. I had to have a moment with myself. But yeah, it's not just silly. Frivolous. It's not frivolous. There. See, I told you it would come back to you. Okay. Yeah. You just watched me have a meltdown in real time. Congratulations, part one. Not many people have seen that. But yeah, it's not frivolous for you to want things, for you to enjoy little physical delights, little sweet treats here and there. You're starting to recognize the beauty in those, the sacredness of them, the divine in those desires. And you're starting to treat those with the respect that they deserve. That's so beautiful. So let's take a look at the aftermath of this retrograde, although I think we can pretty much say that you're really evolving through this one. We have the Three of Swords in reverse. Okay, beautiful. Clarified by the King of Coins in reverse. All the Earth cards in reverse. Yeah. Okay, the Three of Swords is about heartbreak. And so to have that in reverse, you're no longer heartbroken. You're no longer allowing your fears to take the reins and break your heart before anything's even happened. But to have that clarified by the King of Coins in reverse, the King of Coins is like that Taurus energy of someone who is so grounded, so rooted, so abundant, but also fixed. And you, Power One, are striking the balance between maybe releasing the need for this much security if it means, wow, that was loud. If it means that you get to enjoy life, you get to feel love, you get to feel security. Whereas in the past, you may have worked until it hurt. You may have worked until you could feel it in your bones, into exhaustion, just to make sure that your primary goal, which was maybe financial security, stability of some sort, just to make sure that that was achieved. But now, after this transformation, you're stepping into a time where you're like, is it worth the heartbreak? My priority now is how I feel, is whom I'm becoming, what part of myself I'm nurturing. That's what I want now. It's no longer about, building a palace. It is now about building a solid sense of self. Your journey is turning inwards. But I feel like in so many ways it is also turning outwards. It's like using the external reality to turn yourself in. I don't know if that makes sense. It's like you're going inwards, but via the outside world. Does that make sense? Yeah, very interesting. So Power One, let's finally take a look at the Oracle cards and see what advice you have. So the first card we have is the Seas of Mintaka, seeing potential, bringing unconsciousness to light. Yeah, I think this definitely applies very, very strongly to not so much potential, but more about your unconscious desires, things that you may have suppressed in the past because you considered them frivolous, like we saw. But also because it may just have skipped you by when you were so busy obsessing over the stability. It's like you didn't even allow yourself, or didn't even hear yourself ask for things. And now you're stepping into a time where you're learning to listen for the things that you actually want. And it really feels like a self-care era, like a nurturing your inner child era that you're stepping into. And that's so beautiful to see, part one. Next, we have star ancestors, hidden secrets, lost wisdom, look a little deeper. In going through this journey, part one, you might find that your intuition grows stronger as well. Your self knowledge grows stronger. Your ability to look within, to access higher realms, all of those get much, much stronger. And you might really step into your high priestess era, I'm going to be honest. You might find that you're able to connect a lot quicker. You're able to speak to your spirit guides so much easier. All of that purely because you're indulging yourself. That's all it takes, because in indulging yourself, what you're doing is teaching your soul, teaching your higher self to communicate with you, or teaching yourself to communicate with your higher self, and to listen to those little intuitive nudges, to listen to the little voice that's in your mind. And when you do that, you strengthen that connection. And so it makes sense that you're automatically becoming more psychically aware, becoming more perceptive to the world around you. You might find that as you nurture yourself, you're able to listen to your ancestors more, you're able to channel wisdom more, all because you bought yourself that nice dress that you've been eyeing for a while. We have the crumbling. What are you clinging on to? So this is essentially this deck's equivalent of the Tower card. And it usually talks about massive transformation coming your way. But what's getting me is, what are you clinging on to? And this to me brings us back to this energy of this mother card, of having something that you know is ready to go out into the world, but for whatever reason you refuse to allow it out. Perhaps it's a fear of judgment. Perhaps it's a fear of, failure, of being seen. Whatever it may be, it feels like it's time, part one. It's time to let go and to allow this thing to see the light of day, because you've worked so hard. It would honestly just be a waste to miss your window of opportunity. So if there's a project you're working on, this is your sign to let it out, to let it go, to let it out into the world, and to allow it to do the work that it needs to do on this planet. We have trust your path. If you knew you would be supported, what would you do? I mean, that's pretty self-explanatory, to be completely honest with you. What would you do if you knew you would be supported? Would you change your style and do your hair and, whatever the way you wanted to? Would you buy yourself something expensive? Would you give away some of the stuff you have? Would you pick up a new hobby? What would you do if you knew that it would 100% work out in your favor? Because that's where you're at with this retrograde, is you're listening to that intuition, and also you're learning to trust with this full energy here. You're learning to trust that whatever comes to you, whatever desires come your way, they've been given to you for a purpose. It's not a fluke. None of this is a fluke. And you are always supported. We have Horse Spirit in reverse, freedom is yours. And we have the Deer Spirit in reverse, bring a gentle touch. I'm going to quickly skim through these two cards from the book, mostly because I'm not quite sure why they're in reverse, and there are so many of these that I haven't memorized every meaning of everything, but let's see. Are you feeling stuck? Has your spirit been broken by challenges you've faced? Your current choices may not seem the best, but you are not seeing the clearing ahead where you can break free and run. Whatever your choices right now, they can lead you to exhilarating freedom. So trust the guidance of spirit. Horse Spirit is here to tell you that adventure calls, and you will soon realize your power is greater than you think. And then with the Deer Spirit, which is number 18. Oh, there we go. Deer Spirit is bringing you a gentle warning that now is not the time to engage in an argument, no matter how volatile others are being. Do not match their intensity with your own. If you are dealing with an overly assertive person, step back and disengage lest you agree to something out of alignment with your intentions. Don't let anyone bully you into anything you're uncomfortable with. You have solid footing if you stand your ground with grace. Those who disagree will begin to find their own gentleness and willingness to compromise. I feel like that doesn't necessarily have to do with the rest of this reading, but it might be an important warning to keep in mind because, like I said in the intro, retrogrades can be a time of difficulty with communication as well. So maybe that's something to keep in mind in case you're surrounded by conflicts. Stand your ground, don't be a pushover, but also don't escalate. Like, try your best to de-escalate, right? So that's your reading for today, pile number 1. I really love having so many cards out. Let me know what you think of all of this, because it feels like so much going on and so many energies, and I enjoy it. But let me know what you thought of this reading, if it brought you support, if it brought you clarity. Leave me a comment below because I'm always curious to hear how these resonated for you. But that's pretty much it. So thank you guys so much for being here and letting me do this reading for you. If you'd like to support my work, you can check out my PayPal tip jar. Link is in the video description. You can like and subscribe, share this video with someone who could use it as well. But that's pretty much it. So thank you so much for being here and sharing your energy with me. I hope the reading helped. You can stick around to the outro for another reading on my channel, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Bye. Pile number 2, hello, welcome. So if you guys chose the citrine crystal, then this is your reading all about the Mercury Gatorade. So I've gone ahead and pre-shuffled your cards. As you can see, I have a new deck today. It is the Every Little Thing You Do Is Magic tarot deck. And I'm so in love with it. The cards are massive, but they're so beautiful and I love everything about it. But I've gone ahead and pre-shuffled your cards, and we're taking a look at what you're learning through this Mercury retrograde. So these cards here will tell us your energy going into this retrograde. This is a great way to check that you've got the right pile for you. We'll take a look at who you are, what you're embodying as we step into this retrograde. Then with these cards here, we'll take a look at the lessons in this retrograde, what you're learning, what's changing and shifting for you. These cards here will give us a look at the aftermath of the retrograde for you, what comes next. And then finally, we have a whopping 6 oracle cards for some advice, because retrogrades can be a lot and we all need some advice. Okay, so without much further ado, let's dive right in. What energy are you embodying as we step into the Mercury retrograde? We have the Knight in Swords in reverse. Clarified by the Hierophant. That tracks. Knight of Swords in reverse, clarified by the Hierophant. You might find that you've been dealing with a lot of brain fog. Pile 2, it's like your brain, you can't make a good thought happen unless you could see, look, okay, I can't make a good thought. You can't make a good thought happen if you try to. is what I was trying to say. And I just completely messed that up. So, la-di-da. So, you might find that you're struggling to come up with an original thought, with clever ways to do things, with even like borderline smart ways to do things. And so you're having to like go by the book with every single thing. And you're almost like looking to people for advice that you wouldn't look to. You may forget how to change the batteries of your smoke alarm and have to Google it, or look on like YouTube, or go to Reddit to ask for some advice. It feels like you're really just seeking out people who know what they're doing, because right now your brain is just not working with you. The other thing is, you might find that when before communication used to be so easy for you, now you're having to go through like long-winded ways. So say for instance, this is just an example. Say for instance, you're in university, and in the past you could just email your professor saying, hey, sorry, this assignment is going to be a little bit late. Is that okay? And your professor would have been like, yeah, that's fine. Now it's like, actually, you're going to have to fill in a late submission form, and you're going to have to do this and that. And then you're like, that's so much effort, So, yeah, you might find that you're in the energy of things not quite doing what they should do, or doing the way they usually do. And you're having to stick to the rules a lot more solidly than you would have liked to. Like, you can't cut corners anywhere. For the archetype cards, we have Anima Mundi. Oh, beautiful, though. I do believe this is the final card in the archetypes deck. But let's see. It is. Yep. Anima Mundi epitomizes the principle accept or reject none. Simply put, it is the living soul of the world in all its multifaceted, multidimensional layers. Diversity is celebrated, multiplicity is honored, and nothing is denied embrace. It is a connective fiber that makes life meaningful. This card indicates an initiation on the level of the soul. You will sense yourself as a critical note in the cosmic orchestra. Destiny is altered as you hear the enchanted melody of all living things. So that's a beautiful card. However, in this context, it almost feels like overstimulation. Like, do you see how there's so much going on? It's like, yes, you are one with the world, but... Okay, perfect example. Have you ever watched Bruce Almighty? If you haven't, please go watch it. It's an excellent movie. But there's a scene in there where when he first gets his powers, he can hear everyone's prayers, and it's so much. It's like, yes, you have the power to be God, but there is so much responsibility that comes with it. There is so much going on, this chaos. Like, he can hear every single prayer that everyone in the world is making all at once, and it's a lot, right? And so you might be in that position right now where you're like, yes, I feel so connected. I'm surrounded by people I love. I'm surrounded by so much energy, but also it's so much energy, and maybe that's partially why your brain is not braining right now, is because you're a little overstimulated, which if you are, I feel you. That's me, this Mercury retrograde. This might very well be my pile, but I'm gonna try not to skew the reading, but I feel you big time. And so because of that, you're very much having to tailor your approach to life in general. Okay. So if that resonates, hello. Let's dive into what you're actually learning through this retrograde, because because like that archetype card says, this feels like it's an initiation of some kind. So let's see. We have the Five of Cups in reverse. And that's clarified by the Ace of Swords in reverse. Okay. Are you someone, Pal 2, who overly intellectualizes every single thing you're feeling. Because with the Five of Cups in reverse and the Ace of Swords in reverse, one thing you're learning is, first of all, to appreciate what you do still have, even though you may have faced loss in the past. The Five of Cups is a card of someone crying over 3 spilled cups and not recognizing that there are 2 cups still standing. And so to have that in reverse tells me you're learning to actually look for the silver lining in every situation. And to have that clarified by the Ace of Swords in reverse, it's like you're letting go of this need to look for more information in order to try and make something make sense. And as someone who very much does this myself, I can tell you there is a tendency to look for more knowledge, look for more understanding, look for that sword, that new sword energy, of which the swords indicate new information. And it's like you're trying to logic things into boxes. You're trying to make it make sense so that you can compartmentalize every single thing. And through this retrograde, you're actually learning to not do that. You're actually learning to understand that things may be chaotic, but that's the nature of life on Earth. We are not meant to live in clean lines. And in fact, here's an example that will help you understand this. I'm an artist, right? And I like to paint sort of fantasy realism. And one of the things that I've learned through over too many years of painting, one of the things I've learned is that if you want to make something look realistic, add imperfections to it. Then it looks realistic. Because when something is perfect, it looks machine made, right? And so when you look at your life around you, you start to notice that the imperfections are what make this experience real. If it was perfect, if it was clean, neat, perfectly compartmentalized, you would have a bigger problem because you'd essentially be in the Truman Show. Lots of Jim Carrey references today. So one thing you're very much learning through this retrograde is to embrace the fact that everything is exactly as it should be. You don't need to understand something in order to accept it. You don't need to intellectualize every single emotion in order for it to be integrated into your being, into your existence. You're very much learning to, well, first of all, be grateful for what you do have. And maybe you already have a gratitude practice. Maybe you're being called to come back to it through this retrograde. But also to understand that if you don't know something, you're not meant to. If you were meant to know something, it would come to you. If you don't understand yet, that's okay. You will when it's time, or you may not, and you'll realize that you never needed to. But the point is, you'll learn. I think there's a reason you're being hit with a lot of brain fog or overstimulation right now, is because you're learning to stop fixating on trying to logic your way through life. You're learning to embrace the unknown, to embrace abstraction, to embrace not knowing. I can't seem to make words happen for you, Palto. I'm sorry. But yeah, you're learning to flow with life and to allow things to come to you rather than trying to drag them towards you. That's what that initiation was. Wow. So next we have the 10 of Wands in reverse. Yeah. Oof. And that's clarified by the 10 of Cups. I love that for you. Okay. The reason I did like a big sigh with the 10 of Wands in reverse is because it feels like a physical weight off your shoulders. You may be someone who, okay, yeah, you learned this. You learned this habit of trying to make everything make sense so that you can process it, because it felt like your responsibility. It felt like it was your job to clean things up, to bring clarity into situations. Like, you may have been the peacekeeper in, say, your family dynamic or your friend group or whatever. You may have been the person that everyone expected to bring wisdom, to bring knowledge into a situation, to bring clarity into a situation. And it's like you were never allowed the luxury of imperfection. I've never put that in those words before. Wow. Because, yeah, in many ways, imperfection is a luxury. And you were never allowed it. And you may have been bitter about it. You may have been thinking about that a lot recently and realizing that you never had the opportunity to do human things, to have human feelings, to have human responses to situations. Like, you may have always had to be the cool, calm, and collected person that everyone else could rely on to be stable when things are chaotic around them. I'm very much getting type A from this, pal, too. Like, you're the kind who, oh wow, that was loud. You're the kind of person who has like a journal, you have a schedule, you have checklists, and you have shopping lists, and you have grocery lists, and you have packing lists, and you have travel lists, and movie lists, and watch lists, and all of the lists. And through this retrograde, you're starting to realize that you don't have those lists because you necessarily enjoy the organization, but rather because you fear not being organized. Because you don't really know who you are outside of that persona that you've adopted. Whether willingly or not, you have always been that person that had to force kind of like a collected facade, like you've gathered yourself through some very difficult situations because someone else was in more pain, or someone else was in pain also. Like, you have that mom friend override where it's like you could be having the worst day ever and you could be on the verge of a breakdown, but if someone else that you love has a problem, suddenly yours don't matter anymore. You go straight into problem-solving, crisis-solving mode. So with this 10 of Wands, which is the card of carrying a heavy burden, of not being able to hold it anymore, with that in reverse, clarified by the 10 of Cups, which is the ultimate joy, it's telling me that one thing you're very much learning is to simply drop the responsibility. It's fine. What's going to happen? People are going to have to take responsibility for their own healing, for their own growth. Why are they not doing that already? You know? So with these two cards, I'm very much feeling a sense of freedom. I'm very much seeing someone who is able to let go and allow themselves to just breathe, to just be, to have a moment, you know? To have some freedom, to have the choice to be upset, the choice to be imperfect, the choice to be angry and chaotic and messy. And in doing so, you're finding happiness. Dang, that's powerful. This almost certainly my power, but I'm trying not to project. Okay, next we have the Empress in reverse. Okay, again. Okay. There's a reason. Okay. Clarified by the Magician in reverse. Okay, so generally, in prediction readings, these two cards are not always the nicest to have in reverse, because the Empress is all about abundance and stability. The Magician is all about manifestation. However, I specifically want to read you this card from the guidebook, because this guidebook, it's completely changed how I see the tarot. And so for the Empress in reverse, here's what it says. If you got yourself into a mess, consider how to move forward and create change. There is some repression at play, but your feelings are going to demand to be felt until you give in. So listen up. Reconnect to nature's beautiful wildness. Get your hands dirty and repair your roots. And that's why I laughed when that came out, because in this deck, the Empress is not so much about being stable and abundant and beautiful and creative. It's more about being earthy, being connected to the primordial chaos. And to have that in reverse, clarified by the Magician in reverse, it's like you're starting to recognize places where you haven't allowed yourself to feel that way. You're starting to recognize places in your life, times in your life, where you just didn't allow yourself to be real, to be human. You've kind of forced yourself into like a plasticky, robotic sort of sounding board for everyone else. And now you're realizing that doesn't make me feel abundant. And the Magician, this isn't just someone who's like manifesting like, oh, I just think something and it happens. No. The Magician controls all 4 elements: the earth, the water, the fire, the air, all 4 of them, and makes things happen, materializes them physically through his skills. Is the alchemist, right? Transforming something from ethereal to physical. But both of these are in reverse, which tells me you are letting go of that being your responsibility. You're letting go of the idea of having to make things happen being your job. Take stock of your relationships through this retrograde, pile 2, and I guarantee you'll find that for a lot of it, you are the one making the effort. You are the one doing the work. You are the one putting in the time and, making plans and showing up and waiting, and no one else pulls their weight. Through this retrograde, you're starting to realize your worth, in that it's not your job to make things work if no one else will pull their weight. I feel like this is a very empowering retrograde for you, pile 2. And it's very much about shedding a lot of skin, of shedding your responsibilities that were never yours to carry. It's a powerful time for you. I'm not gonna lie. And maybe that's why there's so much brain fog, because your brain is literally like rewiring right now. It's like going for software upgrades. And it's like, how they say, do not turn off your PC, but also you can't use it. So it's like there's so much going on in your head, but you're not able to use any of it right now. And that's okay, because you're going through a software upgrade, and through this retrograde, through these lessons, you will come out a stronger, more vibrant version of yourself that is actually allowed the luxury of being a mess, of being imperfect, of being a person. See how the only card upright here is the 10 of Cups, which is the ultimate joy. That's what's waiting for you. But let's take a look at the aftermath of this retrograde for you. We have the Wheel of Fortune. Oh, I love that. I love that for you, pal 2. You deserve it. And that's clarified by the 7 of Cups. Okay. The Wheel of Fortune and the 7 of Cups. The Wheel of Fortune, well, I mean, as the name suggests, fortune smiles upon you, pal 2. But it is also the energy of the world will do what the world is going to do, and you cannot control it. And, more importantly, it's not your place or your duty to control how the wheel moves. Sometimes it's going to land right side up. Sometimes it's going to land in reverse. And that's okay. It is a wheel. That's what wheels do. The whole point is to simply allow it and to trust that whichever way the wheel lands, it is going to be in your favor. That's clarified by the Seven of Cups, which is a card all about illusions of not knowing what each cup holds and trying to guess what you're going to get. So why are these two together? The Wheel of Fortune and the Seven of Cups. In the aftermath of this retrograde, you might find that you're starting to recognize the illusion. You're starting to recognize this illusion of control, of, the wheel, of fortune, of time, of life, whatever you want to call it. That wheel has been spinning for you since day one. And it spins for every single person. And sometimes it lands ups and sometimes it lands reversed. And that's okay. But over time, we sort of teach ourselves to embrace an illusion of, I can control what the wheel does. And so after this retrograde, you're starting to recognize, actually, no, I cannot. What I can control is how I respond to whichever way the wheel lands. And so you're really coming through this with a lot of emotional maturity, Pile 2, because it's not about being afraid of losing control. It's about enjoying the fact that you are no longer in charge. It's about letting go of some responsibilities that should never have been put on your shoulders in the first place, and understanding that if the wheel is going to do its thing anyway, what's the point of me trying to change it? What's the point of me trying to make it end up in a certain orientation? It literally won't work. I'm just kidding myself and everyone else. That's the illusion that's showing up for you. And when something comes up for us, it is either to embrace or to release. And I feel like for you, it is about releasing that illusion of, being able to control any outcome. Because that comes from a place of fear. And I feel like this retrograde for you is all about letting go of that fear. So Pile 2, very powerful shifts coming for you through this retrograde season. So finally, let's take a look at some advice for you with 6 different oracle cards. Yeah, there's 6 of them. So the first is the Courageous Peony. Multifaceted, unique nature, let yourself be seen. Yes, multifaceted. You've always been multifaceted. It's just that you were around situations that required you to only act in one way because that was comfortable, that was convenient, that was predictable. And so it made everyone's life around you much easier. But with the Courageous Peony, there's a reason it's courageous, because it takes a lot of strength to break out of that mold and to embrace who you are in all your multifaceted glory. So now you're stepping into a time where you're able to release that fear, and that kind of brings you to a place of allowing people to see every aspect of you. Because the key here is in not fearing their response, right? The reason we keep parts of ourselves hidden is because we are afraid of judgment. And you're now stepping into a time where you don't really care. It doesn't really bother you what people may think about you, because you're building that self-image within yourself and recognizing that that's the only opinion that really matters is your own. And so if people want to say whatever they want to say, that's on them. It doesn't really matter. It doesn't change who you are. And if people expect you to act a certain way because it's convenient for them, again, that's on them. It doesn't really change who you are. So you're really starting to embrace every aspect of yourself. And that's honestly all the universe wants for you. Next, we have star bathing, light body, crystal grid, transmission activation. Yeah, it's very much a time of initiation for you, Pal 2. You may find that you feel particularly connected to the stars in this time. Maybe you're looking into astrology or just space in general, or just, stargazing. Something to do with the energy of like stars that are so far away, but are still connected to you in the sense of you perceive their existence. That's pretty big. That's pretty massive. Like, can you imagine if someone who lives like billions of light years away knows of your existence? That would be crazy. But it's what we do every day. We look up into the night sky and we acknowledge the existence of these stars that are so far away we cannot even communicate with them, but we do. So it's really powerful stuff, and I feel like your mind is going way beyond what you thought it was capable of. It's just that you don't quite see it yet, but you will very soon, because lots of things are being activated inside you at this time. So also allow yourself time to rest and recharge, because this is quite heavy stuff, okay? Next, we have soul family. Call in your tribe. You don't have to do it alone. So there might be people in your current circle that you truly feel like you can be yourself around. But if there are not, I promise you there's souls coming into your energy field that can truly support you through this transformation, through this initiation, acceptance of who you are. And you're very much being advised to call them in energetically, to be like, hey, whoever is meant to grow with me, please, I invite you to join my life, to join my energy field in this incarnation, and they will find you, right? Because our soul family is here so that we can grow together with them. And the separation isn't helping anyone. So if you're ready, feel free to call them in, because they will find you. And this could be physical, like human beings. It could be animals. It could be birds. It could be invisible spirits, spirit guides, whatever you believe in. Whoever you know is rooting for you. It could be ancestors. Whoever you know is rooting for you is part of your tribe. And you're very much being called to, ask them to join you right now. Align your life. What is not aligned or needs to change? Yeah, what is part of your life right now that doesn't align with who you are and who you want to be, and where you see yourself going in the near future? What is it about your life that doesn't match up to this energy of letting go of this control? This is the perfect time to let it all go, to do like a deep clean if you want to clear out your closet, whatever helps you. I'm not doing that, but whatever helps you. In either case, it's all about taking stock of your life and recognizing the things that you have held on to simply because you were expected to, or your past self aligned to, but your present self doesn't anymore. It's time to do a deep clean. Right, finally, let's look at some animal spirits. We have the turkey spirit, give with gratitude and grace. Yeah, what did I say? You're learning to find gratitude in the things that you already have. With this 5 of Cups in reverse down here, we saw the whole idea of a gratitude practice. Perhaps you're learning to embrace the things that are already around you and give with gratitude and grace. Perhaps you're learning to share as well. And okay, it's because you're a giver, right? You were forced into that giving role, and you may recently have found yourself doing it begrudgingly, right? You're being forced to give more than you want to. But now, as you step into this empowered energy, you're learning that giving can be rewarding. It doesn't have to be painful. It doesn't have to come from a place of, I don't want to, but I'm forced to. It can always come from a place of, this actually fulfills me. So that's definitely something to look forward to. And we have the cow spirit. The miracles are endless. Beautiful. Yeah, you're very much surrounded by so much support and so much divine guidance right now, Pile 2. And this is the perfect time to embrace change that allows you to be more of yourself. Okay, so that's your reading for today, Pile 2. Very interesting. Yeah, let me know in the comments how this resonated, because this was like hella resonating for me, I'm going to be honest. But yeah, I hope it helped. I hope it brought you some support and some clarity that you were looking for. I know retrogrades can be a little wild, but all's well that ends well, right? And this is all ending really, really well for you, I promise, Pile 2. So thank you so much for being here and sharing your energy and time with me and letting me read for you. I truly hope it's helped. If you like what I do, you'd like to support my work, there is a link to my PayPal tip jar in the video description. Another great way to support me is to just subscribe to my channel, share this video with someone who might enjoy it, leave me a thumbs up, comment below, do all that cool stuff. And yeah, thanks so much for watching. You can stick around to the outro for another reading on my channel, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Bye. Pile number 3, hello. So if you guys picked the carnelian crystal, then this is your reading all about the Mercury retrograde. So I've gone ahead and pre-shuffled your cards, and as I've told the other 2 piles, I have a new card deck today. It is the Every Little Thing You Do Is Magic tarot, and it is so beautiful, and I have loved every moment and every reading I've done with it, and it's so beautiful. But anyway, I've gone ahead and pre-shuffled your cards. These cards here will tell us what sort of energy you're in as we step into the retrograde. So this is a great way to look at whether you've picked the right pile, because this should be sort of the energy you're feeling right now. With these cards here, we'll take a look at what you're learning through the retrograde, what lessons are coming your way. With these cards here, we'll take a look at the aftermath of the retrograde for you. And then finally, with these oracle cards, we'll look at advice. And there are 6, well, actually, you guys got an extra one. So there's a whopping 7 oracle cards for you. Don't tell the other piles. But yeah, without much further ado, let's just dive right in. So what energy are you embodying as we step into the retrograde, Pile 3? We have the World, beautiful. And that is clarified by the Queen of Pentacles, also beautiful. Okay. Pile 3, you are thriving as we step into this retrograde season. Like, with the World, that is ultimate fulfillment, the Queen of Pentacles, so abundant, so secure. You're in a place, well, you're in a good place right now. And it feels like actually you're closing off a personal cycle. You may be in like your personal year 9, and then at the end of this year, you'll like step into the next personal year. If you don't know, the way you calculate it is the date and month of your birthday plus the current year, and like you add all those numbers up and reduce them until you get a single digit number, and that's your personal year. So you might be in personal year 9 right now, And then next year in 2026, you step into a new cycle. It could be something like this. Yeah, it feels like you're in a very solid, very stable energy as we step into this retrograde season. You're very abundant. You're feeling quite secure. You're good. That's pretty much it. Like, I don't really have much else to say. For the archetype, we have the bridge. Beautiful. So the bridge is all about a connection between two people, and I am just going to quickly read it. This is number 38. So if that means anything to you. The bridge. Bridges are built to connect two worlds. They create flow, allowing us to travel between realms, ideologies, personalities. This archetype is the gesture of acceptance, of saying yes rather than withdrawing, separating, and saying no. The bridge between the everyday world and the shaman, for example, creates the bridge between the everyday world and the sacred. This card asks us to study the connections between the seemingly disconnected parts of our life, relationships, ideologies, histories. So, okay, are you in like a pretty solid relationship right now, Pal 3? Because that's also something that could be, because with the world card here, it's generally in the traditional tarot, it is just a woman. And here we have a couple. So you might, and then there's two hands here. You might be feeling quite in love. You might be feeling quite secure in a connection, Pole 3. And that is incredible to see. And perhaps you're here because you might be a little worried about if the retrograde is going to mess that up. Because you're feeling quite stable. The Queen of Pentacles is someone who is earthy. She is grounded. She is abundant. But she's not the kind to kind of move or like make risky moves or anything like this. So you might be in the energy of like, I hope things stay this way. Like I'm feeling an almost like Four of Pentacles energy of like, I want to hold on to this feeling for as long as I can. Hang on, let me just drink some water. Yeah, my throat went like really, really dry as I was saying that. So it could very well be that you're feeling a little anxious about this, a little worried that, things are going a little too well and retrograde season is coming. What's going to happen? Don't worry. We'll figure it out. We'll figure out what's going to happen. But in either case, it feels like you're coming from a place that is solid, quite safe, quite abundant, and things are just going your way, Pal 3. That's wonderful. So let's take a look at what you're learning through this Mercury retrograde. We have the Lovers. Yeah, there's definitely a significant relationship here, Pal 3. And that's clarified by Judgment in reverse. Okay. The Lovers and Judgment in reverse. For some reason I want to read the Judgment in reverse, but from like this deck. Let's see, what does it say? Judgment. How are you looking at your circumstances and how might you shift your perception? What changes can be made? Something about how you evaluate your life has lured you off track and you can't see the path to a fulfilling life from this standpoint. This is a great time to get outside advice. Interesting. Okay. Okay, I think I understand. Do you fear stagnation, Pal 3, or do you feel like you're approaching stagnation, particularly in this relationship? Because with this Queen of Pentacles being such like a sturdy, stable energy, it could almost be stuck. And maybe that's making you a little nervous. With this Judgment card in reverse, like it said, like I specifically like this deck, like the book that comes with it, because it's a slightly different perspective on all the cards, whereas the traditional Ryder Waite is more theological in many ways. This feels a little more abstract and open to interpretation and practical almost. So with these two cards here, the Lovers and the Judgment in reverse, it feels like you're worried that things are quite the same today than they were when you first met this person. Like, you may be worried that progression in your relationship has come to a halt. Or that, where in the past you were growing every single day, learning something new about each other. Now you're getting into that comfortable spot where it's like, I know enough about this person that nothing surprises me anymore. And I know a lot about you and you know a lot about me, but maybe there's no novelty here. And perhaps that's not something you've experienced in relationships before. Perhaps you've never got to this point in a relationship before where you kind of experience what happens after the honeymoon phase wears off. Like, this could be one of your first long-term serious relationships. And you're learning through this retrograde to shift your perspective on romance, on love, with this Judgment in reverse. You're learning to stop measuring whether a relationship is going well or going poorly based off the early stages of it, right? So if you've only experienced the honeymoon phase in a relationship and then one or both of you have walked away from that connection after, and this has happened to you over and over again, it could be that once that honeymoon phase wears off, once you settle into something more comfortable, more stable, because you don't have that endorphin rush that you did, you are now worried that that means the relationship is failing. But here's the thing though, right? You're here, you are questioning this, but you're not walking away. Neither of you is walking away from this. So the fact that you're questioning this instead of walking away from this connection, that alone should be confirmation that this connection is a lot deeper than anything you've experienced before, and that it's not going to end up the same way. I mean, it might, but not right now. And not with the way that you're feeling about each other, from what I can sense from these very few cards. But I'm not you. I don't know your situation. But the point is that you have a lot of fear, but through this retrograde, you're starting to learn that the fear doesn't come from intuition. It simply comes from a lack of experience. And that's perfectly normal. And that's perfectly healthy to carry those fears when you don't know what to expect. But that doesn't mean you walk away or let go of a connection simply because you don't know what to expect. Okay? What else are you learning? We have the Oracle of Cups in reverse, the Queen of Cups in reverse. This is my personal favorite card from this deck. And that is clarified by the Hermit in reverse. Okay. I mean, pretty straight up, you're learning to express your emotions. You're learning to communicate. The Queen of Cups, or the Oracle in this deck, is traditionally the only card that has a hand covering the cup. She is not one who spills her emotions out. She knows when to hold them and when to fold them. And she knows when the people listening to her are capable of understanding and providing counsel versus when they are simply not emotionally mature enough to hold space for her. Right? But in reverse, this talks about someone who is finally letting it all out, regardless. This is someone who is allowing their emotions to flow, regardless of how it is received, because they need to. And for that to be clarified by the Hermit in reverse, which the Hermit upright is about going inwards, going on an inner journey. To have that in reverse tells me that you've done that inner journey. You've done that work that it takes to understand these emotions. You are now ready to come back out into the world and to express it. And it feels like you're learning through this retrograde the importance of first of all, allowing yourself to feel the very depths and intensity of your emotion. But two, allowing yourself to express them without controlling the outcome. Like, you might be someone who has to know that you're in safe company, that you're around people who are emotionally stable enough to be able to talk to. Whereas now you're starting to recognize that actually, yeah, it might be a risk to express emotions at someone who may not be in the headspace to provide good counsel. But sometimes you simply cannot hold it in. Sometimes you just have to unburden yourself, and that's okay. You're becoming familiar with simply allowing things to flow through you rather than trying to make sure that it is received exactly the way you need it to be received. And instead of internalizing things, you're learning to let it out. There's a lot of water imagery going on here as well, and here. Very interesting. Yeah, I very much feel, Pal 3, like this retrograde is all about emotional upheaval for you. And it's about you redefining what it means to feel, and to express how you feel. All right, final lesson for you. We have the Wheel of Fortune in reverse. And that's clarified by Death in reverse. Okay. All right. You might be someone who puts a lot of stock in the idea of fate, of things that are meant to be versus things that are not meant to be, of things being out of your control. You might be someone who doesn't necessarily believe in manifestation or changing your own destiny and stuff like that, simply because you believe that there are events in our life that are just meant to happen and nothing we do can stop them. And perhaps one of your fears right now with this connection as well is that what if it's not fated, and what if it's taken away, right? But through this retrograde, you're learning that actually you do have a say in it, because there's a reason we've all been given free will. You do get to decide what happens moving forward. You get to decide what you do moving forward. And as a result, there isn't an ending out there that isn't meant for you. There isn't a single moment of death that won't follow the cycles of existence. That makes no sense. I'm sorry. But, so, we fear endings. We fear big change because the underlying fear is that it was accidental. It was not meant to happen. Something tragic happened that was a mistake. It shouldn't have happened. But that's just not true, because if it wasn't meant to happen, it would not happen. It's not possible for it to happen if it's not meant to. However, a lot of the times we can sort of use this idea of fate, of, pre-written destiny. We might use this idea to self-sabotage, To be like, oh, if I was meant to do it, I would have the energy to do it. If I was meant to do it, I would have the willpower or the motivation to do it. And I don't think that's how it works. I'm going to be honest with you, Belfry. You might be procrastinating a lot of things. And this retrograde is kind of teaching you, hey, no. You have to take responsibility. You have to do the work. You cannot just call it fate and not do the legwork and not put the effort in. So one thing you're very much learning is that, yes, the wheel will keep on turning. Yes, fate will do what it does. But there's a reason we come onto this planet with a modicum of free will. And it is time to exercise yours. And in doing so, you'll find that you actually end up a lot more empowered, because you recognize that your say in the situation actually matters. And not any particular situation, but in life in general, you find that your opinion matters. Your desires are important. You might have wanted to pick pile 1 as well. That's all I'll say. But with this death in reverse, like that's what's tripping me up. What's interesting is the only tarot cards we've had are Major Arcana and Court cards. Like, this is actually a really big transformation for you, pile 3. Perhaps you don't see it as such, but this is internal work. This is very powerful stuff, but it may not be something that quite intensely affects the world around you. But with the death in reverse, I think I'm also going to read that from the book, actually. I know this is not from this deck, but okay. Are you resisting what you know needs to shift? By avoiding change, you are prolonging your discomfort. Assess what you are clinging to. In release, you will find relief. Yeah. It's okay. So it's somehow taking control and letting go at the same time. Because you're taking control of your destiny, you're taking control of your actions and your willpower, and you are releasing the idea of having some sort of supreme being that decides your fate for you. So I was having a conversation with my family the other day about how a lot of the times we are taught that God is this all-seeing Our Father who art in heaven, right? It is this entity that is judging your actions constantly. And I realized that that's essentially fear-based parenting, but for adults who no longer have to listen to the actual parents. They teach you from a very young age that no matter how old you are, no matter how successful and rich and independent you become, there will always be a parental figure who will control your actions and judge your morality. And it is it's a mechanism of exercising control over you, even when there is no legal basis for it, right? So I feel like through this retrograde, you're letting go of that idea of someone controlling your life and just waiting for you to slip up and waiting for you to make mistakes so that they can judge you. Or some entity in the sky who decides whether you get to keep your relationship or not, whether you get to, make a lot of money or not. It's like you're letting go of all these ideas that someone else has to make these decisions for you and someone else gets to make these decisions for you. that's like, that's a whole paradigm shift, pile 3. I'm not going to lie to you. So some pretty big dramatic changes coming your way. So finally, let's take a look at the aftermath of the retrograde before we dive into the oracles, of course. We have strength in reverse. Okay. Another major arcana. And we have death in reverse again. Okay. Right. Okay, that makes sense. Oh, okay, this is an intense energy. So once you're through the retrograde, once you've learned these lessons, you learn that a lot of the times you've backed away from a fight out of fear. You've backed away from conflict because you worry that it will make you a bad person. It may tarnish your karmic record so far. You might be someone who comes from a very religious background. You might have very deep religious beliefs. And now you might be starting to not question them per se, but maybe really listen in on what the dogma says. Really analyze what you've internalized and kind of weighing that up against what makes you happy. Okay, I see. So this is your this is that time in your life where you're re-examining every single thing that you were taught to believe in, and you're starting to you're starting to discern what works for you and what doesn't. And because of that, it's like this illusion of loss, this illusion of, this divine entity, this divine power that decides what happens to you. It's like, I'm hearing that line from that Meryl Streep sings in Mamma Mia, where she's like, the gods may throw the dice, their minds as cold as ice, and someone way down here loses someone dear. You've been thinking about loss a lot. You've been thinking about death a lot. Maybe literally, but also maybe in terms of like parts of you that used to be so alive, now feeling so dead. And it's almost this fear that someone controls the thread of your fate and they can snip it at any moment. And as you grow and evolve into this person who starts to take control of their own destiny, you're starting to recognize that there is no point fearing it, first of all, because whatever is going to happen is going to happen. But you may have used that idea in sort of a cautionary way to stop yourself from enjoying life to the fullest. And now you're recognizing that whenever death comes, it's fine. That doesn't mean that I stop living. That doesn't mean that I stop fighting for what I want. It's like this retrograde is breathing new life into your convictions, into your desires. And that will, honestly, that paradigm shift will translate to every aspect of your life. Your career, your family, this relationship, right, that you started this reading with. It is all undergoing a massive transformation because you're not afraid of losing all of it anymore. And that is so important, Pal 3, because it's only then that you actually start to enjoy what life has to offer. That's why there's all these major arcana. It's like, it's a subtle shift to everyone else. Like, it may not be a very visible, dramatic change in you, but you know that your inner world is vastly different at the end of this retrograde. So finally, let's take a look at some advice with these oracle cards. Like I said, you guys actually got an extra one. But anyway, the first one we have is Star Family. You're part of a team of souls. Call in support. So I don't know what your belief system is about things like spirit guides, angels, ancestors, that kind of thing. But if you do have faith in entities or like spirits that help you, this is a really good time to call in for that support in letting go of this ideology that's no longer serving you, because I do think it will make a huge difference to understand you're not going through this alone, and to also ask for signs. Ask for signs. Yeah, okay. So one of my favorite things to do, one of my favorite activities when I'm feeling uncertain about things, is to ask the universe to give me a sign if I'm doing the right thing, or give me a clear sign if I need to change up what I'm doing. And 10 times out of 10, there will be a sign, and it will be clear and unmistakable. And so as you adopt a new belief system, it might be helpful to have that extra confirmation from the spirits that you assumed inhabited your original belief system, but now you recognize that they aren't as rigid or punishing as you were taught that they are. And having direct signs from them, having communication like that from them, might actually go a long way to healing your fears. Next, we have Star Brothers, Horus energy, protection, loyalty, safety, trust. Okay, it might help to do a couple of protection rituals as well. And that's not to say that there is negativity around you or anything like this, but it's more protecting yourself from your past self, because we can be our own worst enemies, right? And our past self has only one job, and that is to try and survive. And so when we are trying to adopt a new internal paradigm, our past self can put obstacles in our way for no reason other than it doesn't want to be gotten rid of. So doing a protection rituals, it's not so much about, the ritual itself is powerful, but more about telling yourself, changing your internal dialogue, teaching your inner self that you're doing something to protect yourself, to protect your future from any lingering drama from your past, right? And with this loyalty, safety, and trust, it's be loyal only to your ideal self and to no other version of you. Because your ideal self, your happiest self, is the only one that deserves your time and energy. But even with the Star Brothers and the idea of Star Family, I feel like if you believe in, ancestral connections, ancestral wisdom, there might be people who have crossed over whose souls can really, really help you and can allow you to navigate this transition really easily. So it's very much worth reaching out to ancestral spirits, because I think they will really have a lot to help. So next we have the Sisterhood of the Rose, beauty and devotion, priestess, mystic, teacher. There's a lot. Okay, first of all, there's a lot of family stuff coming up right now. We have brothers, family, sisterhood. But this card specifically talks about being, embodying the divine feminine aspect of things, of that high priestess energy, of intuition, connecting with your truth, with your inner self. So there might be very strong spirits. I am so sorry if this is true, but it's coming up, so I have to say, if you guys have lost a sibling, or you feel like you may have had siblings from previous lives that you've lost, this is your sign to kind of try and reach out to them in the spirit world, because they might be able to guide you through some of these more interesting aspects of your growth journey. And also you might have a lot to learn from them with this mystic and teacher. And perhaps your journey moving forward also involves teaching people how to go through this change, how to go through this internal shift of going from like a very rigid way of thinking to something more fluid. That's why there was so much water imagery. And there's water here as well. Interesting. And we have Anna, grandmother of Jesus, steeding the light, laying foundations, divine plan. Again, that, okay, first of all, grandmother, there's a lot of like familial energy. Your ancestors are heavily around you right now, Pal 3. So please do something for them. Cook one of their favorite recipes, like do a family reunion, something to honor your ancestors, because they really do want to be around you right now. But yeah, with this laying foundations, divine plan. Oh, isn't that interesting? Because we did talk about the idea of like fate and divine plans and stuff. I think you're really redefining what that means to you, what destiny means to you. And in doing that, you're laying the foundation for a whole new era, not just for yourself, but also for your entire family, I think. Because you might find that as you embrace this new ideology, your relationships with your family get better because they are no longer governed by fear. Or loss and stuff like that. Oh, maybe that's why there's been so much like loss imagery. Like if you've lost someone recently or lost a lot of family, I'm so sorry that you have. But just know that they are very much around you still. They're simply not in a form that you can perceive physically, but you can mentally and emotionally. So that could be something worth looking into for sure. And then finally with the animal spirit cards, this is the one you got like an extra of. You have fox spirit, think on your feet in reverse. Squirrel spirit, believe in yourself. Beautiful. And coyote spirit, trust in divine detours. What's interesting is both these, the fox and the coyote, have like these feathers. And it very much gives me Native American or just like native tribes around the world. Because feathers are like quite heavy in their symbolism, and so is ancestral worship. So hey, if you're native, shout out. But yeah, believe in yourself, trust in divine detours, very much so. When things aren't going exactly the way you expected them to, it's for a reason. Okay, and the one I want to read is this fox spirit in reverse. Think on your feet, because the reversals are the interesting ones. Are you camouflaging yourself to avoid intimacy? Perhaps you are being too clever for your own good and playing games to protect yourself. Being dishonest with yourself or others can become isolating and create obstacles to true connection. Fox Spirit calls you to be attuned to what is happening within you and around you so that your quick thinking and creativity can lead you to better relationships and situations. You're being called to use your Fox Spirit beneficially rather than in ways that keep you from experiencing what you want. It really feels like you have a very rich inner world, Pal 3, and you may in the past have turned that against yourself and used it to self-sabotage. But moving forward, you're being called to explore that inner world in such a way that it allows you to expand in the outside world as well. So it's a very, very powerful time for you, Pile 3. But that's your reading for today. So I hope it helped. Very interesting, very heavy energies, but you can do it. You will get through it. But yeah, did this resonate? Did this reading bring you clarity and support? Let me know in the comments below. And if it did resonate, please remember to like and subscribe. It really helps the channel out. If you'd like to support my work, you can always check out my PayPal tip jar. Link is in the video description. But that's pretty much it. So thank you guys so much for being here and sharing your time and energy with me today and letting me do this reading for you. I truly hope it helped. You can stick around to the outro just after this for another reading on my channel, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Bye.